This video is going to show you the process of doing a watercolour painting in the style of the artist Jasper. So I'd like you first of all to just use your little square piece of scrap paper to experiment using the water paints. So all you need is a paintbrush, water paint palette and some water in your pot, but I don't know if you can see in the video, just fill your pot up, just a little bit of water. Okay, you don't need it to the top. If it spills, there'll be water everywhere. Just do barely an inch of water, okay, so that you haven't got too much. So just experiment first of all, make sure you don't do it over the top of your page because it might soak through. So just pop this to one side and then experiment on this first. So first thing you need to do is pop your paintbrush in the water and you use the water to activate the paints. Okay, so have a look at the motion that I'm doing there. Okay, a little bit more water if you need. Okay, and depending on how watery the consistency of your paint is, it will depend how opaque the finish of it is. Okay, so you can see, you know, if I add a little bit more water into that, it will start to get a little bit lighter. So I'm going to soak my brush again. Okay, and that's how you create the tone with the water paints if you want to. You can also think about using your colour wheel, okay, to blend the colours into one another. So for example, we know that orange is next to red on the colour wheel. So that's quite a nice colour to blend into red, okay, because they blend together easily. So you wouldn't want to blend something like green in with red, okay, so you wouldn't want to blend those two colours together. You might use them to contrast one another, but not to blend together, because they're difficult to blend because they're opposite one another on the colour wheel. Okay, so you can see that there. So once you've experimented a little, so I want you to create a tonal grid and then practice blending them into a different colour. After you've done that and you feel comfortable with the water paints, okay, I've done that very quickly just to show you. Okay, so once you've done that, you can start to experiment with your water paints. So I've done two numbers here, sorry. So I've used my stencils, a 0 and a 6. Okay, because that's the first two of my birthday. If you've done 2 here for your birthday and 2 here, you might want to do the last 2, but that's up to you. So choose 2 numbers from your birthday or 3 if you want to challenge yourself. So I'm going to start with an orange actually on this one. So I'm going to use warm tones for some of it and then contrast that with cool tones. So I'm going to fill in this orange part here. And what I would like to do is create some tonal value going around into this little bit here. So I just made a little mistake there, but if you do that, you need to get the water on it straight away if you make a mistake to try and blend it out, because water paint, it actually dries very, very quickly. So you can see I'm holding my paintbrush about here, so a bit like a pencil at the top of that metal part. That gives me a lot more control with how I'm painting. And now I'm blending that darker bit into that lighter part to create that nice tonal blend. Okay, now this next section here, I'm actually going to use something contrasting, so something like a blue paint. Okay, and I'm going to pop that into that corner here so I can see the differentiation of the 2 numbers. So I can see that there's 2 numbers in there. So I'm going to start with blue, and then what you could do on this one to really challenge yourself is to blend that into another colour. Now think about what sort of colour that I could blend a blue into, what would be good to blend blue into, what's next to it on the colour wheel. So I'm actually going to blend it into a green. Okay, so well done if you came up with that. Okay, and then I can even go all the way around now and start blending that into yellow as I come up here. So you can start to see the different shades and tones forming, and I'm blending that into a really nice light green now using my water as I go around to do so. And that is the beginning of how you would start to create your watercolour response.